Hello there and welcome back. Today I want to talk about Slate Ash instrument. So you know me, I'm a hardware guy, but once in a while something comes in the market and it blows my mind. So a few months ago I actually bought the entire collection of their VST instrument. And since that moment, I use them a lot. They have 4 out, and while this video is sponsored by them, at that moment I bought entirely with my money, full price, because I thought they were really brilliant. So I just published a full performance using only Slate Ash instrument as voices. So today I want to just go through it and tell you how I interface my controller to make those software instrument something that you can actually touch and control. Because for me it's really important to have that dimension when I play. I need to use an external sequencer. I like to map some controllers to some settings because I feel that what I want to do is a full performance. I want to improvise, I want to mangle the sound. So this is what I will show you today. So what do I have in front here? I have my trusty Oxy sequencer, and I'm using it with 4 different tracks. Not only it will sequence notes, but it will always also send midi CC. Then I have the Chic N32B, which is another MIDI controller, and I mapped this, I'll show you how, to have basically a mixer. And then I have the Aken Continuum fingerboard that will control the Ooras, which is an MPE instrument, so it's perfect for this use. And another cool thing that I decided to do is using the zero control from Make Noise to animate some of the parameters on landform. And to do that, I'm actually go from here inside the Oxy, and the Oxy has this great possibility to change, to read CV and send it out as MIDI. So that is pretty fun and brilliant. All right, let's go in the project and I'll show you what's happened here. So first thing first, I recorded few takes for my performance, as you can see here. So I have these 5 tracks, MIDI tracks that are the voice, the different instrument. I added down here a resampling track so I can actually listen to what I'm doing and record waves, record audio. That's what I want. I wanted to, yes, record all the MIDI information as you can see, but also have the full performance as an audio track because I care to just publish. I don't like to program that afterwards. I want to do live. It was a live performance. I should say performance again. Yeah. That said, the other things that goes on, there's nothing else rather than the echo and the Denise Audio perfect plate, which I set up here as a return track. And then on the master, I put the Valhalla Vintage Verb, 2 filter, which are mapped. I'll show you how, high pass and low pass. And then I have the tape simulator from Denise again, and then glue compressor, and that's it. I could have had a limiter to be safer during the performance, but I kept my level a little safe, so there's nothing to worry about. So let's go into the actual voices. So for each track, I didn't have anything else than the contact player because Slate Ash works with contact. And that's it. Then I used only the internal effects and sometime the send and reverb. Actually, let's see another cool things how I mapped the Chic. It's pretty easy. If I did on my Patreon a full step-by-step tutorial on how to map these controllers, but you just press the MIDI button here and then you select what you want to automate, and then you move a knob, because it has Ableton has MIDI learn. So this first row are all the volume of my tracks. So this is track 1, basically the first instrument, that is cycles, then choreograph, then landform, auras, another choreograph, and then there's performance is not automated, of course. And then I have the volume of the reverb, the Denise Perfect, I forgot the name, Perfect Plate. Then I have echo, and then I have the master. Then these other 2 rows are the send. So this is the send A, send B for each track, and send A is the reverb, send B is the delay. And then the first row, it's actually something that I automated per track. So for example, on cycles, I configure, you press configure, and then you select on the page here whatever you want to configure. No, I don't need to do it. It will appear here, and then I mapped these to both lo-fi for one instance, and because I'm using 2 instances, and another for the tremolo. So this I did per track to have another hands-on control. Then I did something on my Oxy where I can send CC, I can automate, and I can make things way more complicated. I wanted though to keep things simple, because it's gonna be, this has been like a 10-minute track, and I wanted to just have control of everything. So if you put too many things at the same time, then you'll get confused, and I wanted to really focus on the feeling and on the sound. And it's a sort of 3-part pieces where there's a beginning with noises and rhythmic part, and then it goes in a minor sad kind of section, and then it ends up with an orchestral, more uplifting part. That said, how I set up the Oxy is I have 4 tracks, each one on a different MIDI channel. So I have channel 4 that is control cycles, channel 2 that control choreograph, then landform is controlled by channel 3, and channel 1 is controlling my other choreograph instance, that is more the lead kind of thing. And then auras, again, it's set up from the continuum. You set MIDI from, it's here where you can set up all of your things. So let's go and let's listen what I have. So the first thing is, like I set up here all of my performance. So I would start loading on the Oxy these patterns. So here, when I start, I have cycles, and I have 2 instances of that. This is one, and this is something I recorded with the analog rhythm, and I just drag it on it. So you simply drag any audio on it, and then you can load here different loop state if you want, or sequencer state, and that is a good starting point to create something interesting. So cycles of all their instrument is the more experimental. I feel it really works well with your sample, your music, because it allows you to drag things in, and then you have the chance to really create weird thing. So this is mapped to the lo-fi. As you can see, if I move, it can get more weird. And there's this sequence going on that I create. And this was a very simple drum loop. So this is how I start. At this point, I have the chance to send and return, to send to my reverb and delay. I set up the delay to have a sort of dub delay if I want. And then I also have on the master level the high pass and low pass filter, plus a master reverb. So I can, from a simple sound like this, not really simple, but anyway, interesting. I can start Mangle and create sound. So I decided to start with cycles because I wanted to kind of create the mood. I wanted to have something weird. And also I will end the entire composition with another pattern that I create with cycle. So from here, I will load the second stage of my composition. And here, it's where I start introducing the second voice, that it's choreograph. So let's open it. It's a patch that I create. Choreograph, it's their latest release, and I think of them all, it's one that it's more close to a synthesizer, because you have, as you can see here, 3 voices, and these 3 voices can be a lot of things. Can be oscillator, can be sample, can be noise. So you can drag in your sample here too. Basically, all of these instruments have the chance to work with sample. They have somehow a sample player in it. And then you can add a filter, a delay, reverb. There's also a impulse reverb. So there's many things you can do with that, and also there's a lot of cool sound. And the second instance, I will use my favorite sound that is called At Reach. That is a sort of piano that to me is one of the most beautiful sounds I've ever heard. But anyway, these start with these chords, and then it progresses with this very sad progression here. This is on channel 2. You can see how I set up on my Oxy. So what I like of this sound is can be super gritty and organic. So there's a lot of noise going on. I had it here harmony. I had the modal. Basically, these are all effects and settings that can alter your sound radically. Then lo-fi, and you have some setup here, or you can turn it off. See how lo-fi really had a lot of grittiness, and a smear to make it more smear, a sort of reverb. So of course I'm not giving you this full tutorial on each instrument. It would be pretty complex, but I want to express what is my ideas and how I use them. So again, cycles is more to create loops, creative loops, and effects and a soundscape. I think that is the best. Choreograph to me is my go-to synth, and actually I'm using it a lot even for regular synth purposes. If you want to change the sound here on the oscillator, you can press plus, and then you will see all the different waveform you can load. That said, this is the second stage, and now I'm also ready to play on top something. So what I do here, it's like on my channel 4, I have Ooras, and Ooras will be controlled in the entire performance by the continuum. So here it is, continuum. Let's load Ooras. So I have a few things that I used here. I decided in this case to use the preset because they sound amazing and they are already mapped for MPE. So for example, I started with Gate Dreams. So let me Gate of Dreaming. So I can load it and let's hear how it sounds. So this would be the start of it, and then I would load the Castle shade. I decided that instead of loading many instances that could be a little a problem with your computer, because I had so many things going on, I decided this one to do by hand. So just to give you an idea, the MP part of this, you have so many things that you can do. Now I'm using monophonically, so it's one note at a time, but you can also use polyphonically. So for example, this react to the impact, and also the aftertouch. Feel how the sound change, and there's this texture that come in the more you press. So with this I can create on top of the performance some other texture and noise. So now it's the time to introduce the third instrument, which is another instance of choreograph that is on channel 5. And this is a bridge. Here it is. So this I set up in a way that it plays this preset that I change a little. But also I can modulate with the zero control. So I can go in mod here, press another time, and I have the mod CV. So now I activate, in CC3 I mapped to, and then I decide how much. I have to, of course, select the track, that is track 1. So again, CC3. And now as you can see, this is getting modulated, and modulation, that is on this CC, will work on the envelope. As you can see, it modulated the attack and decay, so I can change here, as you can see, and this will modify everything. Also, I mapped this to the filter. So this gives me the way to have a lot of hands control in changing the sound. Let's get back. So this is the second part of the composition, where there's more this dark part section. And now let's load what will be the third part. It's where the things got on a C major scale. So the idea here is like the choreograph go in a major chord, as you can hear now. And now I introduce the other instrument, the landform. Landforms. And landforms is super beautiful. This is a patch that I create, and let's hear. So landforms, at its core, is a sample player, but it has such a powerful engine. So you have two voices that you can play with. In this case, I have planes, which is woods, and you can choose from many different possibilities. You have strings, woods, brass, solo, and other. And in this case, I select here woods, and then there's different articulation in which they are played. played, yes. And then I added cello riffs on this other channel. So what I also did is, like, for each channel you can decide different envelope and perspective, which is the most fun things. Perspective, basically, when you open it, you have you set up 3 different players and then 4 different spaces, and you can move through that. And if you move, the sounds really change, because each player can play at a different volume, actually a different articulation. It can play a different pitch, and also the space can be like far, close. So it gives you a lot of interesting variation. And of course, you can move that in different way. What I did is I set up with this. So again, I can move basing on the CC, but also it can be moved by an LFO, by recording your movement with the mouse. So it's pretty amazing. And these create variation in the sound. See how this is organic to me and sounds very beautiful. To create the chord, I use the Oxy, which now also use an harmonization engine, so I can use the other track harmonized to the chord. This is, to me, super beautiful. On the other track, I have the choreograph that is harmonized, so it play this. And then on the Ooras, I will load another instrument that is gamelan. So let's Gamlastan, and in this case I will play major tunes. And I will go along with that for a while, and then at the end of it I will load the last patterns, which goes in this state here. And to finish, I wanted to load another cycles patch that I create that I love. Let me find it. Of course, during this I constantly play with the mixer and the effects and everything to make it that. So in this case I will solo this other patch, and then I will just fade it in and tune down all the other. And here it is. And this is something I recorded from my modular system and put it here and have this loop working on. Of course, I will come back with detailed tutorial that is I'm planning to do for each instrument, because it's a lot of things going on right now, and it would take quite a while. And here I can just play with it, send it to the reverb, and then, when I'm ready, just fade out. So, that was it. It was supposed to be a short 10-minute video, but it became pretty longer, And there's so many things going on, and I wanted to actually show what I did. I hope this was interesting. Again, if I have to do a conclusion, I love all of these 4 instruments that Slate and Ash did. It really depends what you're looking for, if you want to start and buy some of them. My favorite, it's really hard to say, but for the way I work, I find cycles really cool, because I can feed it with sample that I already have and come out with something amazing. It works well for ambient, techno, whatever genre. It really create texture and interesting sound. Then choreograph, it's just a beautiful synth. I wish that I had also a synth like that in a hardware form. That would be the dream synth. It has everything that I always wanted in a synth. It's there. Landforms is more your orchestral instrument that can be amazing for scoring. It sounds beautiful. It's not your basic orchestra plugin, because it is played in a certain way. It has a lot of texture, a lot of character. It sounds just beautiful. And in the end, Auras, I think, is the instrument that has to be played. You need definitely a keyboard or a controller, and hopefully an MPE controller, because that one, it's so beautiful when you actually play it. It responds so well to movements, to pressure, to anything. So yes, again, this is it, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you like the full composition as I did, and I had a lot of fun creating. I always love to focus on just one instrument producer, because I like to get into their aesthetic and their thoughts behind the things. They put together a really great suite of instruments. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.